Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Sammy, United People's TV, here with the only live show this week. I know, this is shocking behaviour, but I'm going away. I'm going Portugal. What that light? What's that light? My light's coming out. It's all going wrong to kick off the show. Look, how's everyone doing? Hope you had a cracking weekend. I know United didn't ruin your weekend because they're probably going to do it tonight. Going to speak about the Newcastle game that's happening this evening. Also going to focus on two main talking points today. Number one, we're going to be speaking about the latest cuts from INEOS and Jim Ratcliffe. This time to do with the Man United Foundation, the charitable arm of the football club. Yeah, a lot of about this one. And we're also going to run through Andy Mitten's comments on Marcus Rashford, which caused a bit of a stir. I want to run through what Andy had to say and have a conversation with you about them this morning. And then we'll preview the Newcastle game to wrap up the show. And then I've got to jump straight in the car and get to the airport. Whew. Let me see who's here from the mod and the member gang. And I can see there to kick off the show. What a wonderful way to start the week. Eric Sheridan, you're down there gifting 20 memberships to kick off the show. All 20 of you, make sure you please go into the Discord. All right? I've told you this for some time and I haven't been able to follow through on it. And it's not because I've not wanted to. It's because I haven't had time. But I'm bringing on somebody to help manage the community from January onwards. So there's going to be so much more coming back into this community. Stuff that I've just unfortunately been unable to do time-wise myself. And it's been a time thing. So make sure you go into the Discord. Let me see who's here from the actual Modern and Member Gang. Carl, good morning to you. Alex, I've seen you there, buddy. How you doing? Don't know who else is there. I'm sure everyone else is there. Fizz, good morning to you. Akash, we've got Pamit. We've got Eric, who just said hello to. We've got Kevin Tams, Gary. We've got Cyber West and Vince. Good morning to all of you. Look at this. How class is this? Little random video of some lad who went to Carrington to sort of say hello to the players and managed to say hello to Ruben Amorim, who took his card. There, go down a little bit. Took his card, said hello, and then the little kid said to Ruben, he said, I like your car. He goes, oh, do you? Come on then. In you get. And then this is the sort of thing that this little lad will remember for a long, long time. It's a small little gesture, but it's a gesture which makes a difference. Invite the lad into his car, seatbelts on, mum approves, goes back round Carrington, takes him on a little spin round Carrington, comes and drops him back off a few minutes later. It's a cool little gesture, I thought. One that kid will remember for a long, long time. Just can go a long way. There he is, popping back into Carrington, let me in the gates. Comes back 2 minutes later. Job done. I like that. Akash saying, are you going to see the match live from the stadium? Unless the match is kicking off in Lisbon, probably not going to be seeing it from there. Can I ask anybody who's tuning in right now and you've come across from Sporting and you're interested to follow Ruben Amorim at United, if any of you got any recommendations for Lisbon, I'm going to be there for one day. So if you've got any recommendations for anywhere to eat or drink or hear some music, email me. Sam at unitedpeoples.tv. All right? That's my email. I'd like some recommendations from anybody who has them. That'd be cool. Anyway, let's jump into the actual show. These were the results from the weekend. And ladies and gents, I'm not looking forward to going to Anfield next Sunday. I will be doing a match reaction after the game tonight. Don't know where I'll be. But man, Liverpool look good. Salah's playing like he wants a new contract. Funny that. But they're looking pretty indomitable right now. 5-0. Don't know what they've scored in the last 3 games. Must be like 14 goals or something like that. They're looking pretty relentless in the league. Arsenal winning. But Spurs drop points again. I don't really. It's just, Spurs picked up less points in 2024 than we did. Seriously. Like, my God. Like, United have been bad. Like, how bad has Spurs been? Jeez. Quietly gone under the radar how bad Spurs have been because all attention has been on United. Did Chelsea drop? No, Chelsea are playing tonight. Who else dropped points? City won a game. It's only really Spurs. I mean, I don't even know why I'm talking about dropping points around us right now because look at the table. You can't even see United. We can go from, this is a big one, we can go from 14th to 11th tonight with a win, depending on whether Brentford win. Firing up the table is bad. Matt, you're saying it's embarrassing. I don't even know what way to describe it. I think I might focus on this first. I was actually going to do this second in the show, but I think I'm now going to do it first. Now, yesterday, I did a video speaking through the INEOS cuts, and that'll be our next talking point, okay? Akash, we're not in a relegation battle. Calm your boots. Chill your boots. Well, not yet, anyway. But Marcus Rashford. I've said my piece on Marcus Rashford, so I don't particularly feel the necessity to do another video on my opinion of the situation. However, what I want to do here is run through Andy Mitten's comments on him. All right, I'll play you a little clip. I don't know whether TalkSport are going to try and shut this down. Probably are. But this is what Andy had to say about Marcus Rashford when he was on TalkSport, right? And this was in response to Jason Cundy suggesting that Rashford is being forced out of the club by INEOS simply to save on his wages, and that the manager doesn't really have any say in it. That was the suggestion of what Jason Cundy was saying, and Andy was like, well, no, that's not the case.
To Tottenham. There could be another way of looking at it. I do think that the manager has had a big say here. I think he is doing it his way, and he's a smiling assassin. He's a disciplinarian, and every previous manager has had issues with Marcus Rashford. I've spoken to them. I know them. They've told me in confidence going back years and years and years. And then Marcus confounds those opinions because he has a really good season. And from his perspective, and he does have a perspective here, and there's not a lot of support for him, I've got to say.
I'm not going to play the whole thing because then it would definitely shut me down. But the suggestion there from Andy is that, well, he's had working relationships with previous managers. You know, Ollie's done an interview with Andy. I think Louis van Gaal did one. I'm pretty sure Jose Mourinho did one. Jim Ratcliffe's done one. Not one from Ruben Amorim just yet. But for Andy to say that on record about Rashford, I think is pretty damning. Andy is somebody who protects and builds relationships over time. He's worked with people in and outside of the club and all around it for 30-odd years. And I spoke about this on the podcast this morning. I got really pissed off at the suggestion from some people, and I've seen it plenty, that all Andy is doing is jumping on the bandwagon and just saying something about Rashford now. If this was the case, why didn't you say it years ago? And it's like, are people really, did I just not understand? And I think quite a bit of it is not understanding. Fighting Fit is down there saying you can play public videos without getting shut down, but a lot of videos do automatic claims. If you even use their content and react to it, they'll do it and they shut the whole video down. It's part and parcel of what happens on YouTube. All right? It's nowhere near as simple as playing it in public. But with Rashford, in my opinion, and this is an opinion here, the reason that Andy Mitten feels like he can say that now about Rashford is because it's the end of the road. And the reason that Andy Mitten wouldn't have said that before would be because it would be massively inflammatory and damaging. And then there'll be people that say, well, hold on, Stan, journalists are supposed to be the bastions of truth. Sometimes journalists sit on information for the benefit of other things. And Andy would have sat on that information for the benefit of Manchester United. Would it have helped his football club, our football club, to be releasing all this stuff about Rashford before, maybe when he was even in form? No, I don't think that's the case. And hence why Andy is saying it now. Now I'm going to go and read out some of your comments What's your take on it? What's your take on Andy Mitten's comments on Rashford? Am I surprised to hear that there were issues with other managers? No, I think there's been like questions that you've not been able to answer about Rashford for years. In my opinion, questions that go just way beyond, oh, is he training properly? Like, his heart and his head haven't seemed in it for a long time. And I'm going to go down here and read some comments. Eric, you're saying, I don't ever get the sense that Andy conducts himself in that way, and he doesn't. I've had the opportunity to speak to Andy a couple of times. He's very generous with his time, and he always, if there's one thing I value Andy Mitten for, it's his integrity. Like, he won't put a little bit of short-term success ahead of whether you put something out for the right or the wrong reasons. And that integrity has allowed him to have such an established career. And integrity, to me, is the most important thing as well. So I appreciate that. Charlie, you're saying one manager after another has actually said there have been issues with Rashford, even Solskjaer. I don't remember those interviews. Amir, you're saying this feels like a Lingard situation. There's people that are trying to compare it to a Sancho situation, like it's a Sancho versus Ten Hag. No, Sancho literally called his manager a liar and got frozen out of the team as a consequence. Marcus Rashford said that effectively, well, not effectively, he said, I'm ready for a new challenge. Yeah, I think I am. So he's been pushed to the side. It's not been a straight headbutt with the manager. As Andy says there, called Ruben Amorim the smiling assassin. He's very steadfast in his ways. And if you don't ever, and I said it from the beginning, like, there's only one thing that's going to make Amorim successful at this football club is if he's got a squad of players who 100% buy into what he is trying to implement. And if you say you're going to try and look for a new challenge somewhere else, well, you're not part of that game. You're not part of that gang. It's partly Rashford's fault, says Matthew. United are in this position because his attitude has been appalling and it's affecting the other players. And again, there's something that Andy said in that interview is how would it suit Manchester United and make Rashford more appealing as a sale by freezing him out? You're not. You're probably reducing his value and reducing your ability to negotiate by pushing Rashford to the sidelines. If anything, you want him scoring every week and looking like an incredible player. The worst case scenario is you've got a player who's frozen out, sidelined, because then it gives all the other clubs the opportunity to try and undercut you and take money off the price. So I don't think it suits United from a selling Rashford perspective to have him frozen out. But it's what's best for Amorim, and it's what's best for this squad. So it has to be done. We go down and read some more of your comments. Freddie's saying Andy Mitten is likely speaking the truth. Andy Mitten always does. So for anybody to just sort of suggest that it just pissed me off. And it's just the suggestion that Andy Mitten is just randomly out of nowhere just going to make this up simply to jump on a bandwagon of other people slagging Marcus Rashford off is like, well, unfortunately, the only thing you're exposing there is your lack of understanding of exactly who Andy Mitten is and the long career he has had until this point. All right, let me read some more of your comments. Daz, you're saying, I think Marcus is going to struggle anywhere. Honestly, I think in a new environment, I think Rashford can shine. It would depend what that new environment is. I think going from the environment of Manchester United to the environment of PSG, for example, it might be a nice place to go. It might be a nice place to live. But do I think the culture of PSG right now is one that is going to give Rashford time to settle? And nah, absolutely not, man. PSG will be like, you're either great straight away or you're going to get the Kolo Muani treatment. So I don't particularly think that that's actually the best place for Marcus Rashford. I do think it's a potential likely place for him. What happened to the fresh-faced, smiling kid who just loves scoring goals, says John T. Well, he became a Manchester United player, man. And it's something that I don't want to do the video just yet because it's such a big video. But I'm determined to do a video. So it almost feels like a deep dive on the pressures of playing for Manchester United and what it does to individuals and what it has done to it has swallowed so many individuals over these last 10 years. The pressures of trying to bring Manchester United back to the top has cracked so many individuals, and hardly any players have improved having joined United. There's some, of course there are, but largely players that join our football club and have joined our football club post-Fergie have gone the other direction. And Marcus Rashford, when he burst through as a smiling teenager and scored 2 against Midtjylland and then 2 against Arsenal, and then even that 30-goal season. You know, one thing I would never, ever forget or forgive is Gareth Southgate for making Rashford and Sancho take penalties for England in that Euro 2020 final at Wembley. Having not fucking kicked a ball for the whole tournament, you then ask those two lads to come on, and cold as well, like Rashford and Sancho. Did they even, I think Rashford might have played 2 minutes before he got, either way, they'd hardly kicked a ball. They both missed. Both suffered massive racial abuse as a consequence. And I imagine that caused scars that are still there for both of those players. And that was all on Gareth Southgate. He's an absolute twat for doing that. And, well, the other pressures aside of playing for United, but at the same time, then Rashford hasn't done himself a lot of favours, man. And once we know more about this, and more will come. If Rashford was to leave, and the stories will start coming out, and maybe people will start speaking about things they weren't speaking about previously. A bit like Andy Mitten there saying that there have been problems with Rashford and other managers. I'm going to go down and read a bit more of your questions down here. I can see, oh, wow. Man, I don't know who I'm me. Have you changed your username? Who are you? You're like Santa. Not even Santa. You're just an absolute G. Gifting 50. What can I say, man? There's 50 of you as well now. 70 of you today. Get in the Discord. Get in the Discord. At which you're saying Sancho said the abuse he got is still affecting him. It was the biggest moment for England as a country in a full international tournament at Wembley, and they've hardly kicked a ball, and you make them both take penalties. It's like, fuck, man, that is just an insanely selfish and stupid decision by Southgate. But I'm not looking forward to more of this coming out, but more will come out. And the fact that Andy Mitten, somebody who I think deserves the respect that he has, for him to say that on record shows there's more that's happened probably behind the scenes. Shows it's probably further down the line behind the scenes than we all maybe even know ourselves. I think United are absolutely determined to find Marcus Rashford a new club in January. And I think they're going to have to pay for the privilege. Put it down as a percentage, right? Fire it in the comments. There's no point doing this as a poll because there'll be different ones. As a percentage, how much do you think United are going to have to pay of Rashford's wages to find a club that will take him on loan in January? Whether that's PSG or Bayern or Barca or Dortmund or Leipzig or whoever it is, doesn't really matter. What percentage of his wages, which are somewhere in the region of 300 grand a week, what do you think we're going to have to pay? Because there's no way that someone takes Rashford and pays all his wages. It's just not happening. All right? Rashford will just stay here until his contract runs out. But how much do you think United are going to be willing to pay for Rashford not to play for our club? Because it's going to be a stinger, no matter what it is. Let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. Alex, Isaac, and Rob, Matt, and Michael, and John, you all saying 50%. Jonathan, you're saying 60%. Akash, you're both saying 75%. Can you imagine that? So 50%, what? Say he's on 300 grand a week and it's 50%. That's 150 grand a week that we would have to pay for Rashford not to play for our football club, which is probably going to be about the top earner of a lot of Premier League clubs. I could easily see United paying... I can't believe I'm about to say this. 200 grand a week for Rashford not to play for us. 66%, I think that is. Well, if say I'm working on the fact that hypothetically it's 300 grand a week, but we don't know because of there may have been reductions to his. Well, I think Stephen's saying it down there. There might be reductions to his wages because we're not in the Champions League. There might be performance-based bonuses that are part of that. So we don't actually know what the base of Rashford is. But hypothetically, if it's 300k, I think United would pay 200k of that. 66% of his wages for him to not play for our club. If I remember correctly, and I can't actually, so I'm kind of guessing here. I think that United paid around about a third of Jadon Sancho's wages when he went to Dortmund. I did need to do some research on that. But I think we paid around about a third. The thing is right, this is the crazy thing when you say these numbers. It's because United are staring at 3 potential scenarios. Oh, no, sod that. Just keep it simple. 2 scenarios. Number 1, Rashford stays at Manchester United and he's paid 300 grand a week and he's frozen out of the squad because he's made it clear that he doesn't want to be here. Or United spend £200,000 for him not to be here. Therefore, United save 100 grand a week by Rashford not being here. Or you pay 300 grand for him to sit here and only go down in value. Oh, man. Our contracts. Just, you know, when people pulled up the Ralph Radnick heart surgery video. Open heart surgery. That's what's needed at United. Do you know how much open heart surgery there has been at this football club since that comment? At least 75% of the players that Ragnick had in his squad, they aren't there anymore. We've also got, had a sporting director that's now come and gone. We've got a CEO, we've got a technical director, but so much of the surgery has happened, but it's like you got Dr. Nick from The Simpsons to bloody do the surgery. Either way, I do not see how Marcus Rashford, both from a personal and a professional perspective, should be at Manchester United past January. From Manchester United's perspective, there is no... Yeah, there's a good comment there saying, forget about the money, team harmony has no price. If you've got a manager there and a head coach, right, that you're trusting, and we all trust in Amorim. Will that change over time? Possibly, as is the case with every manager or player or anything. But I believe in him. I believe in what he's trying to establish. And Marcus Rashford doesn't want to be part of that. Network saying, as you know, Sam, after surgery, there can be a long recovery period. Yeah, my recovery period is longer because I'm pretty sure that my surgeon ballsed up my surgery. That's why my recovery is longer. And I know that United balls up their surgery. Hence why we're still in this situation. I wouldn't say it was all balls. I wouldn't say it was a complete catastrophe of all the decisions that have been made post-Radney, because that's not the case. However, we are still some way off where we need to be. Hence why we find ourselves having these sorts of conversations. And I did this video yesterday on the Jim Ratcliffe cuts under INEOS. And there have been plenty. But there was something that happened yesterday, which, yeah, that's why I did the video. Speaking about the cuts that are now going to be coming to the Manchester United Foundation. This is from Mark Kleiman from Sky News saying that in 2024, Manchester United contributed around about £1 million worth of either products or time on the pitch or experiences or anything like that, donations that were given to the Man United Foundation. They're going to, now we don't know exactly how much is going to be cut, but there will be cuts. And this has come was it around about 48, 72 hours after we heard of the £40,000 a year contribution to the former Players Association, that was going to be pulled away. And I believe that 40 grand helped them put on events, and then maybe at the events they sold stuff, or I don't know the ins and outs of it. But I'm sitting, and again, this pissed me off, right? Got this filthy bastard's face on my screen now. People are trying to say that Jim Ratcliffe is just another Glazer. And it's such an ignorant comment. And I think part of the reason it annoys me so much is because I've sat there and watched this family rip my club apart from the inside out for north of 15 years. You're going to try and tell me that Jim Ratcliffe is another Glazer. You're going to tell me that the man who came into the club and put $300 million of his own money, $300 million more than the Glazers ever did, into the club is just another Glazer. It's just a bullshit reach. However, do I agree with everything that Ratcliffe is doing? No. Not even slightly. And the way I tried to explain it in the video yesterday was Jim Ratcliffe comes from business, right? And in business, if you just focus on the numbers, it's very easy for you to be removed from what those numbers mean. You don't need to have empathy if numbers are your only language. Numbers don't have emotions. Numbers don't really, of course, numbers have consequences, but they're just numbers. And when you step back and you talk about cuts to the chauffeur cars for the executive last season, or cutting the credit cards, or cutting the FA Cup final bonus that everybody used to get down to just one ticket and a coach journey, or 25% redundancies, or cuts to charities. INEOS are looking at all of these as the same. All they are is affecting the bottom line, and therefore it's a good thing to do. And it's just not the fucking case at a football club. A football club is not a business. A football club, as we are here, right? We're a community built off our shared love of Manchester United. And that's what makes community special. And Manchester United is a community to so many millions around the world. It's not just a business. No one's going to be going to INEOS at any point. Like, show me a fucking INEOS community. I'm sure they've probably established some of something like that. But INEOS is a petrochemicals company from around the world. And Jim Ratcliffe, you can't say that you want to put the Manchester back in Manchester United and then say that season ticket prices can't be more expensive at Fulham than they can be in Manchester, when that's just so far removed from what the reality is. And you can't just, I mean, you can, but you should not just bring across that same numbers-centric approach to a business which isn't a direct reflection of INEOS. Football clubs are different. And yeah, it's I think it's pretty shitty, if I'm honest. Bookie Spooky, I don't know what you're doing down there, but you're getting angry. What am I saying? Shut the fuck up, justifying Jim's actions. Yeah. It's nice to know that you're listening, at the very least, to me just justifying all the actions. Some people just like getting angry without listening, don't they? I think that's a lot of the internet these days. Just a lot of bark and no bite. That's the majority of the internet. Alex saying it feels wrong getting emails about discounted hospitality packages when the concession tickets have gone up in price. INEOS are seemingly applying a one-size-fits-all policy to cuts at this football club. And that's just, in my opinion, that's just so far removed from what it needs to be. It's so much more delicate than that. And this is a question I asked on the video yesterday, and I'd like to get some comments from you. How do you draw the line at cuts? Like, where does it stop? Because for some people, it will stop when it affects them directly. Like, for example, ticket prices going up. That's when you want to step in and say, no, that's too much. For others, if you've got some sort of involvement in the charity side of things, that's going to be where you stop it. Like, INEOS have to do cuts. All of this is a direct consequence of that family pillaging our football club, of taking and taking and taking until there was nothing more to take, and then they got another credit card and took off the credit card instead. Everything that INEOS are doing is because it's a consequence of that and a reaction to that. But at what point do you say no to a cut? How do you decide what a fair cut is and what a bad one is the question I'm asking, because I think it's quite a difficult question. Where do you draw the line? If a line has to be drawn, where do you draw it? All right? Let me see what you're saying down here. Neil, you're saying charity is charity. It's out of touch with the United community, the working class club for the working man. It's gone. And that's something I said in my video yesterday as well. If you look at the roots of what Manchester United was, it was built off the back of communities, of workers, of railwaymen. That's the roots of it. And of course, it's grown into a business, but it wasn't a business first that so happened to start a football club. It was a football club in a community that grew to the point where it became a business. And then that took over. And you're saying they stop when they affect the lifeblood of the club, the fans and the staff who genuinely love it. I think that's a fair point there, right? I think that's a... Mate, INEOS have gone this far. I don't know. What else could... What noises came out of my mouth there? What else could INEOS do, cut-wise, that they haven't done already? Like, they've already increased ticket prices. I imagine season ticket prices would be a big one. And I'm expecting it. I wonder how big the hike is going to be. That's good. That I expect to happen. I expect more cuts as well. I just don't know where from. Of course, look, and Astro, this is ultimately what they are doing as well. I wish they could cut player wages. That's happened and is happening. Like, Rashford will be going. Casemiro will be going. Eriksen will be going. That's 3 out of your top, 10 earners. And you're talking about selling Old Trafford, what the naming rights to Old Trafford. It's possible. Jordan, I don't really know why they would sell the club. I just don't know. It's going to go the opposite. They're going to buy more of it. I wonder what's... It wasn't my real voice there. No real word at all, by the way. After all of this, no word at all on the debt. Very much the big old elephant in the room right now, isn't it? Very much. Yeah, Stephanie, I said this in the video yesterday as well. You look at, and then this goes against INEOS massively. You talk about all the cuts that they are doing and all the money they are saving here and there, and goes, well, lads, if you'd done your job properly, you would have sacked Erik ten Hag in the summer, which, I got it wrong, but it's not, I'm not employed by Manchester United to get it right. I'm a fan who's got an opinion that was wrong. I know, it's incredible. But you got that spectacularly wrong, and that cost you millions. North of 10 million, wasn't it? And you hired Dan Ashworth, spent 6 months doing it, and then you sacked him. Both those two mistakes cost significantly more than any money that you have saved from these cuts, and some of them are pretty paltry. So that goes against INEOS massively. I think there was a lot of goodwill that was built up over the first 3 months with INEOS. I think they've done a lot of damage since. Let me see what you're saying down here. or you should not have sacked Erik ten Hag, says Matt. Well, no, there was no choice but to sack Erik ten Hag when he was sacked. There was a choice on whether to sack Erik ten Hag in the summer. And that's why Dan Ashworth lost his job. Right, because of that. Now, let's move on to tonight, and let's get a prediction in the comments, because I've got around about 10 minutes before I've got to leave for my flight. Prediction for tonight, people. Get them in the comments. Chief Warthog saying, do any of these cuts help with FFP? Remember it's called PSR, whatever it is now. But all of this is geared towards helping the bottom line. Everything is geared toward... This is a difference as well with Glazers and INEOS. All of this is geared towards getting more money for Manchester United to spend on players so we can actually win things. Any decision the Glazers ever made had nothing to do with ambitions of actually making United a success again. At any point. And that's a substantial and massive difference. The purpose of decisions that INEOS are making are the polar opposite of anything the Glazers ever did. And again, that's why it pisses me off people try and link the two. Right? That's the poll for today. Do you think United will win? Do you think it will be a draw? Do you think it will be a Newcastle win? I'm not looking forward to it. At least not, because I've got to watch it with my mate Dan out in Portugal, who's a Newcastle fan. And I don't want to go. I just don't need to deal with it. I don't need to deal with that. But look, this was my prediction for... Yeah, this was my prediction for the 11. Of course, you've got Bruno, who's suspended, and Ugarte. Let's go full screen. Ugarte, who's suspended. I brought in Casemiro for Ugarte, and I put in Garnacho and Anthony as the two number 10s behind Xerxes. On paper, that is a whiffy attack. I'm putting Ahmad deeper because he's been our best right attacking midfielder, but he's also been our best right wing back. And I think I'd rather have him slightly deeper so he can progress the ball a bit further forward in tighter situations, and that's why I'm dropping him there. And Anthony and Garnacho, they'll both graft, they'll both work off the ball, and you've got a midfield today of Joe Linton, Bruno Guimaraes, and Tonali. It's going to be rammed in that midfield. They're going to be so ridiculously physical. So I've got bodies there. I'm not looking forward to tonight. My prediction was a 1-1 draw. I put in Martinez onto the bench, and I put Mazraoui as the wide centre-back because I'm worried about Jacob Murphy and Anthony Gordon as the wide players. Yoro, I think, is going to have a cracking game. Delo's been poor. Man, Delo's been poor. Tell me, 80% of other players that have been poor as well. You could see this, right? This could easily happen, right? Ahmad and Anthony play in different positions. Anthony plays as a right wing back, and Ahmad plays as a right attacking midfielder. I don't particularly think it's too much of a difference, but I would rather see Ahmad slightly deeper, if only to help with bringing the ball out from the back and the first phase build-up. I think Ahmad will be a lot better there than Anthony would. That's how I feel covering United, man. It's such a privilege to be able to do what I do. But it would be nice if United weren't just sucking my damn soul out. Because that's what a lot of these cuts do feel like. Like death by 1,000 cuts, right? Surprised no one's used that headline when talking about INEOS and Manchester United right now. Let me see what you're saying in the comments. Louis saying, I think I like Delo. I think he's been massively out of position. Yeah, to a certain point. But I think even on the right-hand side, I'd rather have, in the Amorim system, I'd rather have converted wingers who are left-footed on that right-hand side. They work for him. Eriksen as an inside forward, not impossible, Robert, I suppose. If you did that, you'd have someone who can probably control the ball a little bit more, rather than just, Garnacho and Anthony won't be doing that. They'll be trying to play in behind. Newcastle will be up for this game. They should absolutely be up for this game, man. Isaac's going to be a hard player to play against, but it's just not going to be an easy game tonight. Let me see what you're saying in the comments. That's the first time I've seen that on a poll in here. I thought that would be the case, and it is. 49% of you are saying Newcastle win. Every other game, I remember doing a poll, certainly this season, you've all predicted United wins. That's the first one I haven't seen that. 31% of you are saying United win. 19% are saying a draw. What else are you saying down here? Short-term pain for long-term game. What about short-term pain for medium-term pain? And it's quite long-term pain right now. That's basically being a United fan. Yeah, and I agree with that as well. The family club aspect of United has always been a fundamental part of it for me. If I was to always explain what I loved about my football club, what made my football club different to everything else that had happened over just how football had changed and everything. And I would point back to the roots, and I would always point towards the youth teams. I would always point towards that community and family connection that they had there, and the sort of siege mentality of United against the world. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing out there. We'll do it our own way here. And that's been eroded. But I will say one more time here. It has been eroded by the Glazers. And our finances are in such a dire position that Jim Ratcliffe, who is very well aware of PR and what PR is and the power of good PR and the danger of bad PR, he's willing to make cuts to charity to try and increase that bottom line. He's willing to do unconsulted ticket price rises to try and affect that bottom line. That is how bad our finances are. And there's more to come. There really is more to come. Well, I better be here after a win tonight. I may have a few drinks, so it may be an interesting match reaction. But ladies and gents, that is the only live show for this week. I know, shocking behaviour. I will be back here live on... I just remembered that the next live show we're going to have is going to be the Monday after Spurs. No, Spurs, Liverpool. So I hope I'm cheery next Monday. I don't think I will be. We'll find out. I'm going to have a video going out with the match reaction tonight. I'll have a video going out tomorrow, which will be the 5 things we learned against Newcastle. So there will still be videos, but no live shows. All right? I'll be back in a few days. And if you've got any recommendations for Lisbon, send them over to the email, sam@unitedpeoples.tv. Much love. I hope you all have a fantastic new year. All right? Take it easy, everyone. All right? Have a cracking day.